And here we go. Warchant Happy Hour begins right now, live from the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Hello, everybody out there. Good to be with you. Cheers. Florida State Clemson week begins right now. Weekend begins right now. Appreciate everybody out here at the Corner Pocket. If you don't know where it is and you're just getting into town, Apalachee Parkway, the locale, you can't miss it. Next to, what is that? What the hell is that place? REI or some ADV,
Aldi?
Whatever it is.
What did you say? Flower Eye?
I said REI.
Oh, REI. Yeah, you can get the 10 if you need a 10 or some winter equipment.
Just type in Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Everybody has GPS now, so they'll find it. The food's great. The company is great. The beers are cold. We got the baseball games on. We've got football coming on. We're all good to go, but mostly we're going to talk Florida State Clemson. Hello, brother. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm excited. I don't know if I'm anxious, a little nervous. I think I'm mostly excited. I think you go into this with not a ton to lose. You're an underdog.
Yeah. You are. And you think we have a better than 50% chance of winning. So
yeah, I do.
Go. Maybe you think Clemson's the underdog this weekend.
Right, in my eyes.
Yeah. I'm a little nervous. Clemson got healthy at just the right time.
That's a bummer. That's a bit of a bummer.
Yeah, it is. I don't know about nerves as much as I do. I'm apprehensive a little bit. I'm excited for the atmosphere in Doak.
Yeah.
I'm excited for how electric that will be because it's Saturday nights at Doak. You know, you and I go way back with this program.
They released the balloons.
Oh, yeah. And of course, you have the sound meter, the whole the spear. Yeah. That'll be great. Yeah. No, Saturday nights at Doak are special. And when you bring in an opponent like this, you expect it to be electric. You expect it to be intense.
And you can play with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this isn't, well, obviously 2020 didn't get played anyway, but that game, it was a 35.5-point spread.
Yeah, that wouldn't have gone well.
It would not have. They literally could have scored 70 if they wanted.
Probably.
Which, when you look at, when you're trying to gauge this program and how far it's come, think about that NC State game in 2020. Think about this point spread. And you say, okay, you're still not where you want to go. You haven't made a giant leap necessarily.
Sure.
But those steps it's incremental, but you're making steps. You went from, in 2 years, a 35.5-point underdog at home to a 3.5-point underdog at home. Now, Clemson's come back to the pack a little bit. But you're in the pack now, at least.
So you bring up a good point because I think it's important.
I know I did. Well, I bring up good points all the time.
You also sometimes just fly by the seat of your pants and say crazy things. So I'm just glad that you began today's show with a solid point. Man, that's a good way to start. No, I think it is important to note that because I think when you come on the heels of 2 straight losses, people are a little embittered, a little frustrated. Yeah. Especially because you let one get away against NC State.
The way you lost that one was tough.
But it's important to note that Florida State, despite those 2 losses, and even if this doesn't go well, is still a team that is set up to have a much better season. The program is on the right track. I actually believe that even if they were to fall tomorrow.
It's a big if. It is an enormous if.
Big if. Even if they were to fall tomorrow night, I do think Florida State can win the remaining 5 games. I straight up believe that. And I'm less bullish on this game than you, but I do think that Florida State can win the next 5 coming off that bye. They just got to get healthy, Corey. They have not been healthy.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating. When you think about those losses, it's hard not to wallow in self-pity. You know, if Bless Harris were starting at right tackle tomorrow night, Florida State's a much better team.
Yeah.
Instead, you have to start Jazz. And I'm not trying to take shots at Jazz, but Jazz was brought in to be a backup. He was brought in to be a backup guard at that. He's having to start at right tackle. Yeah. That's not ideal. We talk about these things a lot.
The lights are on, man.
Yeah, there we go. People want to see us on the feed here.
Yeah.
But we were a silhouette. But what? Again, you can go through all the injuries. I don't want to do that, but we don't know if Fabian Lovett's going to play. He's your best defensive tackle. It's not even close.
Yeah, no duh.
Yeah, and so it's so aggravating to think about, hey, you're still where you are without a lot of these guys. That's reason to be encouraged, but it is also frustrating. So I get both sides of it.
But also when you look at, you definitely don't want to have a 3-game losing streak going into a bye. But those last 5 games, you should be healthier, man. Who knows if Winston Wright's back in the fold? Fabian Lovett, we don't know if he'll play this week, but you got to imagine after a bye he'll play. So you got those last 5 games, and say you lose this game. You're competitive, but you lose. And then you go 4-1 or 5-0 the last 5, which is imminently doable. Those aren't great teams.
I think it's important that you do that.
If you do that, you go 8-4 or 5-0 over the last 5. This program will not only do we know it's better just because we have vision and IQ, but there's tangible proof You know what I mean? Oh, there we go. Phillies scored first. What are you going to do?
You'll live, buddy.
I know.
You'll
Still got the ring from last year.
Long time to go here.
Yeah.
No, I think for Mike Norvell and staff, it's an important game for a lot of reasons. Yes, you want to win it. If you win it, my God, can you imagine the conversation we're having on Monday? Changes everything about the rest of the season. Start talking about 9-3 and 10-2 and things like that. But not only that, you really are gauging just how far you've come. So far, that litmus test proves you're better. How much better? How much better are you than a year ago, than a year before that? Well, if this is a tie ball game going into the fourth quarter or something close to it, your world's better, and you're getting closer and closer and closer to a point where the expectation isn't that you hope to have a 7 or 8 win season, it's that you win the Atlantic. And then we get back to beating Florida State football, where the conversation sit around conference championships and college playoff appearances. That's where you ultimately are trying to get to. The question mark for all Florida State fans is, how soon do you arrive at that being a reasonable expectation? It's unreasonable right now, but how soon?
I think within 2 years you should be in the playoff conversation, because it's going to be a 12-team playoff.
Well, right.
You know what I mean? But I mean, literally, like, if Florida State had won on Saturday, which they very well could have, should have, if it's a 12-team format, you're right there. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're in the conversation already.
Well, if you'd won on Saturday, Corey, if you'd won on Saturday, you're in the conversation regardless, because if you win the conference title, which you might be in a position to do, you might get it anyhow with one loss. So, I mean,
So, but that to me is why you should be encouraged about what you're seeing. But I also understand the frustration of that game, because you let that get away. Just think about the energy around this game, and it's already going to be pretty energetic. But if you're 5-1 and 20th in the country, hosting a 6-0 Clemson team, it takes on a life of its own. It takes on a different feel than any game we've had here in, I don't know, man, 6-7 years.
It's been a minute, yeah. I got a question for you. You were up there. You saw in person in that stadium.
That debacle.
You saw the second half. We all did. It was tough to – Tom and I were talking about it live on the air as it was happening. But my question to you is, one of the good parts about traveling within the conference and covering the team the way you are when you're at those opposing stadiums, you get a chance to interact with people that cover the other teams in the ACC. You get a chance to talk with fans. You get a chance to kind of go out and about and see what that's. My question to you is, yes, that's a bomb. Philly's up 4-0.
I don't like the way my man reacted when he hit it, though. I mean, that was crazy. He slammed his bat down like he was mad at everyone. Come on, man.
Settle down.
Well, it's because he made that error.
So here's my question to you. What is the general consensus at these other locations about Florida State? Because I brought up a story today on the air. My brother lives in Atlanta, like you do half the time.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
All right. The brother I was referencing did not go to Florida State. He's indifferent about Florida State. He'll root for him because of me, but he doesn't really care all that much. He went to USF. So he says to me, hey, man, and he's a huge college football fan, I like watching you guys this year. I said, why? He goes, oh, you're competitive every week and you fight like hell. It's just fun to watch Florida State right now. And he goes, frankly, Florida State needs to matter again. So he's talking about a big picture college football stuff. And he's like, yeah, when I'm flipping around, I see Florida State's on, I want to watch them because they fight and they're better and they seem to be together. And he goes, I wouldn't even talk to you about Florida State the last 4 years. So now I'm locked in. Do you get that impression elsewhere when you're on the road covering these games, that people can clearly recognize how much better Florida State is?
No, because I usually just go from the car to the press box.
So you don't talk to them?
I don't talk to people.
Well, you're an elitist that way. I appreciate that.
But it is the truth. It is college football is better when Florida State is good. ACC is certainly better.
A lot better.
You would think, again, they might have a quorum with the refs and be like, hey, man,
I think the refs would like to see Clemson get to the playoffs.
No, I'm talking about, this weekend, sure. The last 2 weekends, it would have really benefited the ACC if Florida State had won both those games.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Imagine 6-0 Florida State versus 6-0 Clemson.
Well, and also it's a conference right now that has arguably, of the Power Five, the best quarterbacks in all of college football.
Oh, of course.
I think it's across the board. Now, you win and you have two high-profile teams competing like that this weekend in a big-time primetime game. That is a talking point that is getting heard by a lot more people.
Yeah, but then the refs screw you. You don't get to win.
You didn't help yourself either.
No, I know. But you I mean, who knows if you win that game even without some of those atrocious calls. But it is what it is. They're going to let Wake hold while they do their mesh. It is what happens. It's just how the world works. It doesn't make sense because nobody cares if Wake Forest is any good at football. You would think the ACC and Phillips in particular would be like, we have to get Florida State good again. We have to. If it's 50-50,
I don't like that you're advocating for
cheating.
Cheating.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Man, have you watched how the world works?
Advocating for them to just fix games for Florida State.
People will steal $1 billion in a hedge fund, and they get 6 months at a little country club prison. Somebody steals a car, and they're in federal prison for 20 years.
I understand the larger discussion.
You know what I mean? So everybody cheats.
But you got
to benefit yourself.
My man has gone from, let's see if they can build something, to, we need you to start cheating for us. We don't need it. We don't need it.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice.
Let's go climb up there and earn it.
They're still officiating like it's 1995, and they feel bad for these teams.
I know, buddy. It's all right.
Yeah, but so to the point about Florida State being competitive again, it's definitely there, man. This is not they're not a pushover anymore. Clemson's not coming here expecting to win by a lot. They know they're going to be in a game. Now, they expect to win because they're Clemson, but they know they're going to be in a game. NC State knew they were going to be in a game. Like 2 years ago, I was up there for the great Chubba Purdy start. Man, that was what a night. I mean, come on, man. It wasn't even competitive.
What a night.
It wasn't competitive.
You can always say you were there to see it, buddy.
In this game, they got knocked in the mouth. NC State realized real quick, okay, Florida State's getting better. Much, much better. Now, we'll see how much better they are Saturday, in 24 hours from now, 25 hours from now. But they are a better program. It's now about tangible proof and, building something. Like, it'd be awesome. You fine, go 8-4. That if you go 8-4, that means if you lose this game, you're going to either beat Miami or Florida, maybe both. But you've got to start winning some of these types of games. So Norvell needs a win like this. Not his best win so far is a win over Miami that fired its coach. We're going to need better wins than that.
The win against
look at this
reaction against Louisville was good, but
he does this and slams his. Man, now I'm going to root for the Dodgers when they play the Phillies. I don't want to root for the Dodgers. I'm going to root for the Dodgers.
So we've never seen Ronald Acuna pimp a home run? No,
I've never seen like that. He was mad. He was saying, "Oh, they're interviewing him. What's going on?" Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
So what I would tell you is, this is I don't know that you're going to be able to gauge. We might have a disagreement on this. I don't know how much you're going to gauge improvement in this game. I think Florida State,
if you win, that's an improvement.
Well, yeah, to say the least. I think Florida State's opportunity was last weekend. I think Wake's better than Florida State, and I know Clemson's better than Florida State.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you can't win.
Yeah, absolutely.
Doesn't mean you can't win, to your point. But I think Florida State's better than NC State. And
yes, that was a bummer.
That loss hurts, and that is, that's a knock. That is truly a knock on.
By the way, can we go ahead and just turn this game off, Tom? I mean, what are we doing here, buddy?
Everywhere you look, it's going to be on. It's
all I do is
baby.
I turn around and just see home runs.
It's a glorious
This is
thing.
Ridiculous.
It's okay. You're the reigning world champions.
I know. I got that going.
You got to let it go.
This is what I get for what you see. Why I don't watch these stupid things.
You can't handle it.
I can't handle it.
No, that's a replay from an earlier home run.
No. That was Bryce Harper just hitting a 500-foot bomb.
I think you may want to get your guy out of there. So long story short, I would just say that this game here, buckle up, everybody. It's not that you can't win, but I think you're going to need a little bit of help. Every one of Clemson's starters that have been out this entire time all come back this week. Now, maybe they're rusty. Tom suggested they might be rusty, Corey.
Yeah.
Let's hope that's the case. Rust sets in. But if they play to their capabilities, this is the best team in the conference. If they play to their capabilities, they have better players than you at nearly every position. So it's asking a lot for Florida State to win this game. I'm just trying to set realistic expectations. I'm not trying to bring everybody down. I just think it's a tough ask. It can happen.
Yeah.
Florida State's not nearly as bad off as they were several years ago. That point is well made. I get it, but I do think this is a tough ask to win this game with a healthy Clemson coming in.
Yeah, for sure, but it's not impossible. 2 years ago it was impossible. Last year you went into that game in Death Valley thinking, I don't know, man, just try to get to the fourth quarter. You made me, and you did.
And
actually.
They did. Could have won the game. They had the lead with under 10 minutes to play.
Should have won the game.
Yeah.
But this year would not be crazy if this game is close in the fourth quarter. In fact, it's a 3.5-point spread, so the people think it's going to be close. The over-under is 51. Clemson does not have a very good offense. They're not horrible. They're not like they were last year. But, again, when you look at the games they played, I watched that NC State game that they played, and then I just watched the NC State team that Florida State played. And they, I think if Florida State plays NC State at home, you get the similar score. You know what I mean? I think they would have beat NC State very similarly. I think they're much more evenly matched than they've been in a good long while. If the quarterback for Clemson plays well, you're not going to win. You're not going to win.
He's played well this year. You've
got to affect him.
He's been good this year.
And you got to hope he makes some crazy mistakes.
Well, and it's possible in this atmosphere. Like I said early on, if you get a break or two. I mean, listen, football's a funny game. That's why we don't assume victories every week, even though the spread is given early in the week.
Yeah.
I mean, we know the game's got to be played. Tip passes happen, pick sixes happen, returns for touchdowns, fumbles. These things change games. Momentum in games. Players are in college, not pro. You see them affected by emotion a little bit more often. So, yeah, it can happen. And again, I think that's what has to happen in this game for Florida State to win it is early. Something good has to happen for Florida State. I think back to the upset, mild upset as it was against North Carolina that year here.
Yeah.
And you had the Kendo pick six for a touchdown. And you see how well that sustained Florida State for basically 3 quarters. That fourth quarter was a hold on for dear life. Carolina dropped a bunch of passes and kind of blew the game. But Florida State, because of that early success, were in it the whole way with a chance to win it. And that's really what I think you're asking for here is, does something good happen? Do you make your own luck? Do you get a couple breaks along the way, and all of a sudden you're going into the fourth quarter? Clemson has a lot more to lose than Florida State, man. A lot more. Clemson thinks, no matter what we think of them, Clemson thinks, and they should think this, that they can go to the college football playoff. Yeah. I mean, we probably can name 3 teams we think are better than them, but I don't know many more. So at that point, they believe they're going to win the conference. They believe that they're going to play for at least play for the championship. There's nobody in the Coastal that's going to beat them, it doesn't seem. So if this is tight late, do they get tight? Do they begin to freeze up a little bit? I mean, at least get to that point and let's find out.
You hope, man, and that's I want something good to happen to Jordan Travis early too, because the last taste of his mouth
on this point. It's a good point.
Was very bitter. I mean, that's an awful interception when you have a chance to go win the game. It was a bad decision. You can't argue that it was a bad decision.
Yeah, bad decision. Period. Yes.
Because of the place you are on the field and where you are in the off coverage. But is his confidence waned at all? I don't know. I hope not. It shouldn't. He's been good this year, and I thought he was good in that game. His receivers let him down for a large chunk of that game.
Time.
But if he has something good happen to him early and can get into a rhythm, you need him to outplay DJ. I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name. There's no chance. But
Uyunglele.
All right. Well, whoa, say it again.
I don't need to keep saying it.
I want to hear it.
Uyunglele.
Yeah. Oh, I can do that. That's easy.
You just did it. Yeah.
So, if Travis outplays Uyunglele,
there it is.
Then you have a very good chance of winning the game. You can't have Uyunglele outplay your quarterback because you have no chance if that happens, in my opinion. You have to have Jordan Travis have to have a special game because you're not running the ball in this team. You're just not going to do it.
Not traditionally, you're right. And I think Jordan has to run the ball against this team. So, to your point, and this is the point. We are in total agreement on this point.
The Phillies are still batting, by the way. This has been a 34-minute inning.
Let's hope it's a 15-run inning. Let's
just get it over with.
But the point that I would say is Jordan has to be electrifying in this game. And he might be. Last week's long run against NC State, not only was it exciting to watch because you're rooting for Florida State, but also because it was a sign that he's back healthy. He would not have turned it loose the week prior.
Yeah.
And so now you see him do that. Hopefully that's just a continued build-up to him being at full strength.
He also didn't take any awful hits in that game that I remember, right? He only ran it 6 or 7 times. He got sacked once. So he should be as healthy as he's been in a month.
And at the end, every one of the tackles that he did go through, I remember thinking, okay, he's popping right up. That's a good sign. He didn't seem to fidget with the knee brace or anything like that. He seemed fine. So, I think he's probably as healthy as he's been in a few weeks. And if that's the case, you got to run him out. You're not going to win otherwise. You're missing Trayshawn Ward. It's a big loss. I love Trayshawn Ward, especially between the tackles.
That's not official yet.
Well, we think we're
assuming.
I'd be very surprised if he played.
I mean, he was in a hospital bed on Monday.
So he was in a sling. I mean, obviously, you're probably going to wait. You got a bye week coming up. There's no sense. You got other guys you can go to. Trayshawn's your best running back. I think Benson will run like a man in this game if he does get the ball.
That would be nice, right?
Tofila's your outside the tackles guy. But I think, again, your leading rusher in all likelihood, if you win in that way, is going to be Jordan Travis.
Yes, it has to be almost.
It has to be, right?
You just can't run the traditional stuff. So, it'll be interesting to see what Norvell does. Like, he has to know going into this, and Atkins has to tell him, we can't run on these dudes. We can't do what you want to do.
It's unlikely.
It's unlikely we can move these guys to run on them. I mean, they average 60 yards a game giving up on the ground. But they're a little bit susceptible out wide. You got a shot. If your quarterback and receivers play well, you've got a shot. Last year, you miracled 2 touchdowns, right? You had the Toafili crazy play and the strip sack. This year, you don't need miracles. You got guys out wide that can go make plays.
Well, they like to block, Corey. To that point, the receiving core is better, not just because they're more talented and they can win some one-on-ones. They still drop too many passes, but they can do those things. But they like to block. They love to block, and Johnny Wilson's a good blocker. Listen, Portier can block. You got some big. Malik McClain can block. They got some guys that. By the way, I even think Micah likes to block. I mean, they like.
I got
to block.
a question for you. If you're going to go 4 wide, which they did on that last play,
why do you have the tight end?
Why do you have Marquise and Douglas in there and not Portier?
Tom and I talked about it this week.
Why don't you have Portier in there or McClain or somebody else?
Yeah, sure. I agree.
Okay, well, so the answer is there is no good reason.
Yeah,
okay.
There is no good reason.
Okay, good.
Hey, he's not devoid of mistakes.
He's not Bill Walsh, is he?
No, he's made some mistakes. Yeah. No, listen, I do think it's such a weird conundrum you find yourself in. On the one hand, you don't believe that your 5 offensive linemen can block their down linemen.
But nobody can.
Nobody really has consistently.
Who could in this country?
Wake did, maybe. But they were a little banged up, right? Yeah. So, and that's frustrating. But
even Wake is that goofy offense. Like, you don't run that.
They still held it up. They
didn't run on them. You can't run. Nobody's going to run on this team except for, like, the Patriots or somebody, the Dolphins.
If you spread them out a ton and you tell Jordan that he has to run a lot, then maybe that's how you get those rushing yards. But I love the idea of having the discussion of, okay, you're Mike and you're Alex, and you're sitting down this week and you're outgunned up front. Now, they've done a great job over their short time together of scheming angles and ways to run despite being deficient up front. They found a way. They did it last year. They were able to run the football some despite an offensive line that wasn't very good. All right. So do you decide, screw it, there's no real chance to run, not traditionally like you're talking about, to run with our running backs. I'm just going to spread 5 wide and chuck it around the lot. I'm going to play the quick game.
Times.
Do you do that?
Yes, I would throw it 50 times. You hope Jordan completes 37 of them for 304 yards. Like, you're just averaging 6 yards of pass.
And
occasionally you go up to 14. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you move it otherwise. It's
fascinating because you're leaving those guys in that moment. You're leaving your offensive line on an island.
But you have a conversation with your quarterback. Like, hey, man, don't go to your 4th read. You're going to be getting hit in the back.
You guys 0 chance to a 4th read.
You can't.
I'd tell them, let's not go to my 2nd read.
Let's
get the ball out of my hand.
Tuck it.
Yeah. No, I'm actually fine with that. It's this guy or nobody, and we go.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Because 2nd and 8 is a win.
Yeah.
This week. 2nd and 15, we're in deep trouble. And so, again, they've got to, and this offense is predicated, most offenses are, but especially this one, is predicated on winning first down and staying ahead of the chains and keeping teams balanced on defense and making them play you honest. And we didn't do a lot of that against against NC State. So
no,
we'll see. We'll see. That first half went well. They had almost 300 yards of offense. I thought, here we go. Second half, a total collapse. Very frustrating. I think you got to get a turnover in this game. I think you got to do something special in the special teams game. I don't know that that's possible right now to trust that, but we did something special last week. Truly special.
Well, the punt return was cool. But I know what you're talking about.
Special plays. 2 special plays. Sir, I have not yet checked the chat. Is there anything that we need to be answering? The answer is no from Tom. No chance.
That's ridiculous, Tom. You haven't seen anything that caught your eye on all those comments?
Your thoughts on Jordan Travis' body language? We talked about it.
So Tom, he's not on mic.
He doesn't have a mic.
He said Jordan Travis's body language on the sidelines. Not great. Not great. I don't quite understand what's going on. That doesn't seem to fit his personality, his MO. You don't know if he's getting a little tight, maybe, or the whole
little expectations.
Yeah, man, that's not. He doesn't. I don't know that he's great when he's tight or when he's
nobody is. Very few people.
When he's wrapped up like that, not wrapped up. What am I thinking of?
Uptight?
Uptight, but yeah, he's wound tight.
Tight.
You don't want him to look like that or play like that, and that's not good. So I think Jordan Travis has been good this year. And again, like I said, I thought he was good against NC State for the most part. There were 2 horrible throws, but it wouldn't even come down to that last throw if the guys make catches. So he's got to play loose and carefree and not put so much pressure on himself, man. I don't want to – we can't have another James Blackman where it looked like that Sun Bowl, James Blackman was literally almost in tears.
Yeah.
You can't have that, man. You can't be that wound tight, not play that position.
I don't suspect that he'll ever get to that point. He's too confident and too good to get to a point where, remember, James Blackman – the build up to that moment,
Arkansas State's own James Blackman,
was
by the way,
a whole lot of frustration for years of problems.
It was a lot.
This is different. I do think when we talk about that subject matter in terms of uptight and everything else, I would argue that I think some of his frustration was the receivers dropping passes.
I also think some of it was with his coach. Maybe.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think there's two things there. I think
not that he doesn't like his coach,
but
like he's
fine. But they're in the
moment.
moment.
I want a double for Darno. This rally's starting, gang.
So I think he was frustrated with Mike, and I think he was really frustrated with his receivers.
Yes.
And it all built up to a place where he was able to show that a little bit with his body language. Now, if Mike's able to show him on film, and he is, that's not what we do here, guys. Everybody's turning to look at you. Everybody needs you to be completely in control because they're the ones who are going to rat trap. They're the ones who are going to be flushing, but my quarterback can't be.
Yes, correct.
And so, I mean, listen, the other part of his frustration might have been born out of the fact that obviously, and you pointed this out, you talked about it in your column, they were a little slow to adjust in the second half.
Yeah.
NC State kind of changed. They shaded the offensive line differently in the second half, but they also did a very good job of kind of run stacking. So
in predictable downs. And so one of my biggest, I told this to Ira, he was sitting next to me after it was the second drive. It was the Dylan Gibbons personal foul.
Well, that was a devastating
But here's
penalty.
the thing, man. There's no guarantee they're picking the 3rd and 2 up either. But you throw it
chances over 3rd and 17.
You throw it to Pokey Wilson and get 9 yards. You don't have to run on 2nd and 1, especially the predictable run that you've been doing. So, of course, Toafili loses a yard. Right. So, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to do that. It's not just running on 1st down that's predictable. It's running on 2nd and 2 that's predictable. You've got to take shots when you've realized, okay, they've completely changed the way they're defending us. 2nd and 2 against Clemson is not a rundown because it's going to be 3rd and 4. I promise you, they're going to expect you to run because everybody does when it's 2nd and 2. So if you throw a 9-yard completion to Pokey Wilson or 8 yards, so it's 2nd and 2, don't give it to Toafili so you can be 3rd and 4. Throw it again. You've got to be a little creative and a little against. You got to be
a little bit more aggressive. I also think that on a down where you have the advantage, you have the leverage on 2nd and 2. To me, it's not even just so much about run or pass. It's about options. I mean, it's the same run every time. So if you go ahead and change that, roll him out.
Yep,
give him a run pass option.
That's something to do.
Jordan, you've got an electrifying player at quarterback. Give him a run pass option on that. You might hit a big play, but if it's not there, it's our guy or no guy. Jordan, run for it, get the first down. Yeah. We're good to go. 1st and 10, let's go from here.
It's pretty easy, man, this game. Why aren't we coaching? I'm tired of not coaching.
Oh, we got a kindness addition to the program here from Gordon. It's 2011 all over again. We lost a close game at home, followed by 2 more losses, and finished off the season with 9 wins. The next 3 years were awesome. Hashtag the climb.
Okay.
I like it.
We haven't lost. The Royal have not lost the 3rd game, though, yet. It's still up there, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, this game's not lost. They got a chance, dude. I'm telling you.
Curious. I'm not curious about the fan base after this game if they lose. I know what they're going to be like. It's the sky is falling. We'll have to hear it for 2 weeks before the Georgia Tech game.
I think there's some measured fans in this fan base.
I'm not saying 100%.
Yeah.
I'm just saying the vocal people.
Yeah, well, the vocal people, you got to tune them out, man.
Yeah, but I still won't be panicked. It does matter how you play. I mean, if you go get blown out at
home. If you lose 41-6, man, that's not a great look.
Not a great look.
Because they didn't do that to Furman.
Yeah, that would be upsetting. So we'll see. I agree. But I am kind of curious to see just where this game's at in the 3rd quarter. How healthy is Florida State? Part of our predictions this week, you've kind of been behind the 8 ball trying to predict the game because you don't know who's going to play and who's not going to play.
Yeah.
I mean, yes. I'm not sure. If Fabian Levitt doesn't play, I don't know if he
over under tomorrow night. Over under stoppages of play for a Florida State injury. I'm going to put it at 5.
I'm going under, and I think it's 0.
They're not going to get hurt at all?
Not one player.
Awesome, man. That would
Not
be
one
cool.
player.
I'm good.
Not one player is going to get hurt because we have had our share of post-play injuries for the effing season.
It's crazy.
We amassed them all against NC State, it seems like.
So I said it on headlines real quick. I said it on headlines. They had in the NC State game alone, there were 8 injury stoppages in that game. 7 of them were Florida State guys. That's rough, man. And then the Wake Forest game.
The one for NC State's a toughie.
It's a big one. I mean, Farmer, obviously, that was an obvious personal foul. I'm surprised Farmer's even allowed to play this week.
Oh, man.
And then the week before, there were 5 injury stoppages. 4 of them were Florida State. I just don't like the look of it.
Well, the trend is not good.
I don't like the trend, but it's not like these kids are not tough or they're being babies. It's just you're playing kids that are hurt, are banged up, and they're playing through it, and that's what happens. But it's tough to get into a rhythm that way. I mean, literally, I can understand Florida State fans' frustrations. Like, again, another guy is just laying on the ground, writhing in pain.
I told Tom this week it was a body bag game. I swear to every time I looked up, there's another guy down. But Jason asked the question on the chat just a moment ago if whether or not we thought the frustration that Jordan showed was the direct result of Mike's play calling.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Do you think
maybe.
it's that?
I think because Norvell even said it after the fact that the first interception. I think that's when Norvell
that was
and
a
him.
good defensive call, by the way.
Yeah, but that's what Norvell said is that was a bad call into that formation, and he blamed himself for it. And I think Travis, when he came off the field, especially after getting kind of tackled in the block with the kid with the personal foul, is he was upset that man, what is going on here? Why do I not have anybody to throw to? I think that has something to do with it. He can throw it away, and he should. Especially on first down. That's crazy to force it in there like that.
That's on Jordan, man. I mean, sometimes the right defense is called for a play.
But I think he was frustrated in the play caller in that moment. Man, there was nothing open there.
Throw it in the stands.
You had 2 guys standing next to each other. Exactly right. And that's the stuff he's got to learn. And the stuff with the last play, once you see off coverage, man, you can't go there. You can't just throw it up for grabs because you don't know where that corner. Now, and you also got to give credit to the DB, man. That's a great play the kid made to look like, and Tom's pointed it out, look like he's going to go inside, and then all of a sudden just bounce outside, do a moonwalk to where, that was a great play by him and a great read. But it all, I think Travis was, I just think the most frustrated he was that first interception. The second interception, he was frustrated that there wasn't a hold or maybe that Pittman stopped running, which wasn't great.
Not a good look. I know this. If you're Jordan Travis and you're the quarterback and you have the ball in your hands on every play, there have got to be times, and every quarterback knows this, that the right defense is called at the right time. Those plays cannot end in disaster.
Yes.
It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the aspects of being a great big-time quarterback, whether it's in the pros or college, is to know when you're beat. It's
funny you say that because I was watching Mariota this week with the Falcons, and he makes all the right plays when it matters most.
He rallies you back, baby.
I know, man. That he's just got something special about him, Jeff.
No, but I think knowing, obviously.
I was just trying to make Tom Lang laugh. I got a little chuckle out of him, but not much.
When you do pre-snap reads, a lot of times you'll watch quarterbacks recognize there's kind of an oh shit moment. This is not the right play. I got to get us out of this play.
What I'm interested in watching tomorrow, because I didn't notice it as much the first 5 games. That game on NC State, it was a lot of waiting until there were 7 seconds on the play clock, and he's staring at Norvell.
That's that 3-3-5, man. They were absolutely bewildered.
I didn't like it. That's not what we've seen from the Florida State offense. It's not been so dependent on the coach reading it. If you trust your quarterback to read it, let him read it.
Well,
and what's it gonna look like tomorrow night? Because Clemson's it's gonna have 4 down linemen. We know
most of the time, but I will say this. There's a chance, and one of the things Jordan didn't like last week is something that Clemson might end up being able to do.
But do you think that's what Jordan got upset about? Is man, quit making me look at you all the time for 7 seconds.
Well,
there's 7 seconds left.
Well, I think it's twofold. If we're out of rhythm and we're not running the offense the way we've been running the offense, and you're going to make me look at you and then put me in a position to throw that pick, I'm not real pleased.
Yeah.
If I look over at you and we go 80 yards, good job, coach. I'll look at
you're
you
the
again.
man. Yeah.
But the other thing I would say about that, if your offensive line, and this is where it has zero to do with coaching, this is about players. If your offensive line cannot block Clemson, they're going to start with 4 guys, and then they're going to drop 7 in coverage.
Yeah.
So that's already a bit of a problem.
Well,
if they get pressure on you
6, right? Because one's going to be a spy. You do have that.
We'll see. I don't think they'll start by spying. I don't think
they will.
They might if he burns, but I don't think they'll start by spying. The other part of that is this. If they get pressure with 4.
Do you know who hosted I Spy in the 60s? The
I
TV
don't.
show? Bill Cosby.
Oh, well, I did know that. You're right.
Shout out, Bill.
Yeah, I did know that. No, what I would tell you is, what if they get to a place where they can pressure you with 3?
Oh, God. Well, you got no chance.
Well, now they're dropping 8.
Well, it's done.
They're
not going to do that.
NC State did that in moments last week.
See, but the interception at the end of the game, there was no pressure there. They rushed 3,
I'm not
and he
talking about
just
that
threw it.
singular play.
He got to the back of his drop and threw it. And I thought the 5-on-3, which should always be the case, I thought the 5-on-3 was fine. He got enough protection.
For the most part, Clemson's a little different animal.
Oh, I know, but they're rushing 4, and they're rushing 4 NFL dudes.
But if they only have to rush 3 and they drop 8, you got to take off. Well, you got to take off.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Again, I'm getting back to this with Jordan.
And also, I'll be honest, Jordan, I've never been anywhere close to the athlete that Jordan Travis is. Clearly, I know that's hard for you to believe, but I wasn't. I want you to dive forward, buddy. I don't want you to slide like you're sliding to second base. Dive forward and quit robbing yourself of those 2 yards. Every yard matters in this game.
Yeah.
Dive forward. You're not going to get hit. They're not going to be diving
and
at
you.
you.
And if they do, it's a penalty.
Well, right, yeah. And you got Rodemaker. If they hit you in the head, what are you going to do?
He's shown.
But
he did well against Clemson.
Yes, I want him diving forward and not sliding. I think that's something that needs to be taught.
I think that if Jordan is loose early and runs and shows a foot loose and fancy free, you like that description?
Yeah. That's a band name in college.
Yeah. So it's a good nickname to have. But hey, nice to meet you, Footloose and Fancy Free. So if that is the case, you got a fighting chance, man, because that kid can be special. He can be special. We've seen it before. Did he hit another one against you?
It was foul. It was foul. It's fine. Okay. It's fine. It's still 6-0. It's still only 6-0.
No, if he's that guy, if he's out there having fun with nothing to lose, and they're playing, you can just see it body language-wise, it could get interesting, man. We've seen stranger things.
Get interesting. They're 3-point underdogs at home. Like, it should be interesting.
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't get the line. I laid it. I took Clemson in the points. I gave the points, no problem. I don't understand that line, Corey. That's a crazy person line.
I really do think
what indicator is there that we can block Clemson?
I think it's you're not going to block them. I think it's what's their offense going to do. It has not played it really hasn't, and it wasn't good against Boston College, and it wasn't great against NC State. Like it's not a high flying Trevor Lawrence, Deshaun Watson offense. They struggle early. They struggled against Georgia Tech for 2.5 quarters. They struggled against NC State for 2 quarters. They struggled against Boston College for 2 quarters. And
then covered on the road easily.
But that's because Boston College isn't Florida State. Like Boston College doesn't have it anywhere close to the players that Florida State does. So we saw that. So I think the thinking is the Clemson offense will struggle. It's not going to just roll up and down the field at Doak. It will be a close game late in the third quarter.
I hope you're right.
I think that's the thinking of the line, because you look at what they did against Boston College. It went field goal, punt, interception, punt, get the ball to 28, going for a touchdown right before half. That's what they did. They were not good on offense.
No, I think they were indifferent. I agree with you.
Sure, but defenses are supposed to be indifferent.
You're coming off of two big games.
DJ Uiagalelei has not done enough to just be indifferent on the road. Like, he needs to go. He still needs to play well.
He's completing 64% of his passes. He has.
No, but the reasoning that you're saying, I get it. He's much better than we thought he was at halftime of Georgia Tech.
Yes.
At halftime of Georgia Tech in the opener, you thought the freshman was going to play.
Yeah,
but you thought the freshman was going to be playing.
Probably, yeah.
But my point is, he doesn't go into a Boston College game thinking, "Oh, we got this. It's fine. We're going to."
Perhaps not, but I mean.
So I think their offense isn't great. I think Shipley's good, but their offense isn't great. And so that's where you wonder if Florida State can just 10-6 at half, or 13-10, or 27-6. Get up by 21.
Just beat their ass.
Get up by 21.
Dominate them.
Fine. but I'm not convinced that Clemson's offense it's not as good as Wake's. It's better than it's between Wake and NC State, right?
It's probably the second best offense in the league.
But it's between Wake and NC
North
State.
Carolina's offense.
No, yeah, but I think when you think about offenses, Wake's got the best offense in the country.
Yes,
or in the conference.
I was
Sorry,
going to say easy killer.
Sorry.
Ohio State would argue with you.
But Wake's got the best offense in the conference.
Yeah.
In NC State's middle of the road a little less. I think Clemson's right there in between. So you're not overwhelmed by them. This isn't Trevor Lawrence handing off to Etienne and then throwing it all these NFL
No. They're
receivers.
not as dynamic offensively as they've been when they had 2 top 5 picks at
Pin this
quarterback.
mic when I try to drink out of my straw.
Make as much noise as possible.
Sorry, Tom.
Honestly, I think it's fair to say they're not nearly as dynamic as they've been in the past. But
So what do you think the race is to?
I'm trying to think of a way that Florida State wins the game and what that means.
We don't need that.
No, but I'm saying, like, if I can come up with a way that Florida State wins it mean that Clemson's made some mistakes and it means Florida State's played well. So what does that add up to? All right, so let's see you get a pick 6. All right, I'm going to give you a pick 6 here.
Who's giving it? Zarie? Who's getting it?
Zarie Thomas is announcing his presence with authority.
Yeah,
It's AZ time.
By the way, I looked this up yesterday. Marion Cooper, who it was so good last year, is the 13th worst cornerback in the Power 5 this season by Pro Football Focus, just in rating. Which
13th worst?
13th worst. Which, when you went into this season, if you told me Duke Cooper would be one of the worst cornerbacks in the country, I'd be like, well, Florida State's screwed. So I don't know what's going on. I know he's banged up. I saw him get injured in August.
I thought we were making a case for Florida State.
We are, but I'm making the case that it's not going to be a Marion Cooper with a pick 6. But that to me tells me that he's hurt, because you don't just go from what he was last year to just awful. And he's been awful. He's been awful.
He's been awful.
So
Bernardo Green makes him.
I love him. Bernardo Green's been great.
He's been very good. But Duke Cooper has not. I said to Tom last week, I think it was time to.
So Azarie, I think Azarie is going to play a lot. He's going to have some growing pains, but I like him more than Amarian Cooper.
He'll make a play on the ball.
And they play Jarian Jones. It'll be those two rotating in. But, that's just you thought going into this season you loved the safeties and you loved one of the cornerbacks. You didn't know the cornerback you were going to love was 8.
The race is to 27.
I don't know that Florida State can get there. So I hope the race is to 21 or 20. I'm trying to think. 24 means you're kicking a field goal.
I'm getting you. I got to 27, and I gave you a pick 6.
Okay.
So I'm asking that the offense score 21 points.
They can do it, man. This is the second best offense that Clemson has faced this season. Yet it's not. There's who's third? Like, you saw that NC State offense. That was a train wreck.
That's not a good
Boston
offense.
College is a train wreck. Georgia Tech, especially in August, was ridiculous. So this is the second best offense that they've seen.
I agree.
They did not do real well with the best offense they've seen.
This is the healthiest they've been to face any of these. Their secondary was riddled with injury against Wake. It was freshmen that aren't going to play in this game. It was backups that aren't going to play in this game.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a fair comparison. I hope you're right.
But no, I'm not saying they're going to do what Wake did. They're not if they put up 45.
Whoa, Jesus,
boy.
they better win by a lot if they put up 45.
We're rubbing butter on each other and just see where the night goes.
I
got Tom Lane to laugh at that one.
That's nuts. Yeah. Okay, this is from Carol. A percentage of run pass on offense. Well, I think it's pass heavy.
It's got to be 35, 65, right?
It's all the quick game stuff. So it's going to be, in essence, I hate when people say that those
banging this thing. It's hard with I'm not used to having one of these, Tom.
I hate when people say that the quick game is the extension of the run game. It's not. It's still finesse. You're still throwing the ball. It's not the same as a run. I get why they say that when you hear that stuff, those flares and stuff like that. I'm like, no, it's not the same as a run. But I do think it is probably, 60-40 pass run, so maybe even more, 65-35.
They're running. Their linebacker is Cooper's last name. He's really good. Like,
they have 2 linebackers that will play in the league. Very, very good.
They're very good. So their front 6 is all.
They're freaking good. They've recruited exceptionally well.
But Toafili, I don't care if you're talking about NFL linebackers. He is a tough matchup out in space.
He's fast,
in the
yes.
And he's shifty. He is a receiver.
Douglas, you think he'll play a big role here?
I do.
A big play, have a big play.
He has a chance to have a couple big plays, but you've got to find a way. Those, as good as those linebackers are, they have not covering Ja'Kai Douglas and Lawrence Toafili is different. They haven't had to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
So exploit that. you've got a mismatch. I mean, every game is a mismatch with your 6'7" receiver. I think you've got a mismatch there. And do you remember before the LSU game? I mean, I know these linebackers are better than the LSU linebackers.
Very good.
But before the LSU game, I think it was David Johnson, the running backs coach of Florida State. They were working on running back routes in practice, and he's like, their linebackers can't cover you guys. They was talking to the quarterbacks. He's like, their linebackers cannot cover our running backs. You have to put these on the numbers. And I think that's something you can try to take advantage of.
They did it a year ago.
Yes, right. Yeah, I mean, Toafili had the huge play against him.
Yeah.
Toafili, he's not a guy that you can give the ball 26 times to and say, give me 140 yards.
15 times.
But you can give him 15 touches.
Yeah, in a variety of ways. 10 touches, I'd go with. Yeah.
That's where I think you Toafili is a difference maker if you get them, if you can get the right matchup.
So the recipe, so as we get towards, we got about 10 minutes left in the show.
It's a huge at bat here. We got Odorizzi against Real Muto here.
Huge at bat in a 6-0 game.
You got to keep it at 6-0.
So the way Florida State wins this game, you're sitting in the box tomorrow night, I'm on the roof, or I'm sitting with my dad, whatever it is, and I'm watching.
Your dad here?
Yeah, he is.
Oh, he did make it.
He's right over there.
Oh, good.
So here we are. You can hug him afterwards.
I will.
Yeah,
I will.
okay.
I will.
So here we are, and Corey Clark is getting ready to have to write his story.
Yep.
All right, and the game is in the balance, and it's that way because of what? What has led us to a point that there's 5 minutes left and you can't finish your story because we don't know how it's going to end?
You have limited them on defensively to no big plays. And Florida State has done a very good job of that this year.
They have done a very good job of that.
They lead the nation in fewest 30-yard passes given up. I think they have to be close to leading the nation in fewest 30-yard plays given up.
Yeah, they do a good job.
So
they don't give up big plays.
You make Clemson move down the field, have them settle for field goals, which, of course, they're going to make because it's Florida State. I mean, it's like Florida State basketball free throw defense. Like, it's the same with field goals. Teams are going to make them.
Yeah.
And Clemson's got a great one, just like NC State apparently
and everybody else, apparently. Yeah.
NC State has the Groza Award winner, of course. Meanwhile, you got what you got, but that's fine.
Yep.
But you've limited them to no big plays, into 20 points, a couple of touchdowns, and a couple of field goals where you bowed up on third down. I think that's how you have a chance late in the game.
So red zone defense, and I brought up red zone defense a lot.
Third down defense is big too, man.
Well, Wake, go back to the Wake game. All week long, I preached that you have to get off the field on third down, and you better win in the red zone. They did neither.
Yes,
they lost in the red zone. They lost on third down. So you cannot beat Clemson if you do not get off the field on third down.
How does Wake go from playing Florida State to Army in October? What the hell? Why does it Florida State schedule like Wake? I mean, you're guaranteed of 8 wins if you schedule like Wake.
I don't want to play Army.
Well,
it's a funky.
You're right. But somebody like that, they go from a ACC game to, a team that they're favored by 30 points.
That's all right. It's all right. We got to buy after this. Again, we haven't given up a lot of big plays, but we didn't get off the field on third down the last time we were home against a good offense.
Yeah.
And we didn't win in the red zone. Florida State has got to win in the red zone. Clemson between the 20s is going to move the ball. That's fine.
Yep.
That's fine. I mean, I prefer they don't, but they're going to.
Yes, correct.
So get off the damn field, make them kick some field goals instead of converting touchdowns, and you can be in this game. And conversely, obviously, you have to score when you get your opportunities because I don't think they're going to be a lot of opportunities. I think you're going to get a few.
Correct.
You got to catch.
You got to hit a couple big plays too.
Oh, big play. Listen, thank you. That's the biggest thing for their offense.
You're not going to go.
They're not going
12 plays, 75 yards.
They're not doing 13-play drives and scoring on Clemson. It's just not happening. That has to be big play central. You need 2 of those at least.
Yes.
2 big plays.
And look, Clemson doesn't have the receivers that Wake Forest has, but Clemson has some guys. But you have some guys too, and Micah Pittman and Johnny Wilson and maybe Pokey Wilson. These guys have to go because I think
catch the ball.
Well, not that, but you're going to have to go make some special plays, man. Like. I do think they're going to have a spy. I think they're going to go in. I think on that last play that Jordan threw the pick, NC State had a spy on them. I think you're going to have spies on the quarterback. So at that point, it's 6 DBs versus 5 receivers. If you have 5 guys out in the route, so safety help can't be everywhere. So you are going to have one-on-one battles with the quarterbacks. You have to go make plays, man. You have to go be a good receiver.
Anytime you get a one-on-one, that's any team. If you get one-on-one, you got to make a play. I mean, I'm going to scheme you one-on-one. You've got to make a play.
Yeah.
That all of last year, most of our frustrations with Florida State had to do with they schemed one-on-ones all year long. They couldn't make a play.
Yeah.
They do have dudes this year that can make plays in one-on-ones. Last week, for as much as we want to talk about the last play or any of the other things that frustrated us, bottom line is, man, if Pokey makes a catch, if Johnny Wilson doesn't drop two really big passes.
And look, man, if Malik McClain makes that catch, you probably win the game. I don't think probably you win the game.
Yes, I think so.
In the very next play is Johnny Wilson dropping the fourth down play,
which is
it's a good throw.
His two drops were awful.
But that was a horrible one on third down because you could feel the momentum shifting and you need that catch.
Yeah.
But I also maybe run that play to Malik McClain. Maybe that should be for 14. Maybe he catches that one and McClain does it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I wonder what the rotation's going to be like at receiver, if other guys are going to get chances or if they're going to tighten it up. That's Ja'Kai Douglas is now in the mix, I think. So how much run is he going to get?
Ja'Kai's got to be a guy that's catching balls out of the backfield. I don't think Ja'Kai's lining up out wider in the slot and making
You don't
plays.
think he'd be a slot guy? Imagine that last.
He's such a tiny ass target. He's just a tiny dude.
He's also balding, which I love that, man. A 21-year-old kid that's balding. I got nothing but love for you, Ja'Kai.
We want you to make a play, Ja'Kai. I have a feeling it's a wheel route.
But wouldn't you have him in the slot instead of Marquise there with four wides?
I'd have somebody other than Marquise, who I like actually, just not in that situation.
Old biscuit.
What do we think of Rodney Hill? And Carol asked that, and so did R. Wilmer, I guess, right? All right.
Carol's all over this
Carol and R. Wilmer are kicking ass. We all love Rodney.
We do, man.
Man, we have from day one. Remember that thing we were practicing next to each other watching early on? We're like,
that guy can
play. He's got a little something there. Yeah. I love that guy. I know Tom does too.
He runs hard.
I think I speak for all three of us. We really like Rodney Hill. He's a good player.
I don't love him in this game if he plays. Like, obviously,
it's a big spot.
Trayshawn isn't probably going to play. And you don't know
say that again. Not likely to play.
Probably not.
Not.
We don't know though. We don't know. But I mean, he was in a hospital bed. He Instagrammed
like he was
it
just
out.
In the hospital. It'd be unlikely.
He put it on the gram that he was in a hospital on Monday. But
I'm sure Mike loved that.
I know. I wonder if he has a talk with him. Like, hey man, I don't talk about injuries. You don't need to be tweeting out that you're in a hospital.
Yeah.
But Rodney Hill, I think, is going to be a really good player, and I think I would play him after the bye. I don't know that you really introduce him to college football against this team, the only thing I worry about really with him at all is ball security, because he hasn't been tackled in a year and a half. Like, and you're going to be tackled by these dudes.
Yeah,
you just don't need a fumble. That's all.
I like him though. I'd play him. I'd play a running back before I'd play certain other guys in a game like this. I think. Listen, that's instinct. A lot of that's instinct. He's
got some stuff to him.
He's got a lot of stuff
to him. On Tuesday, you watch him.
Yeah.
That guy. He's different, but he comes through a hole differently than really kind of anybody they got.
Well, when you lost Trayshawn Ward, I think you lost a little bit of what Rodney Hill has to replace Trayshawn.
He's got some of that skill set.
The other thing I would say really quickly
what if he went for like 22 carries and 230 yards?
Guess we know who our new Dalvin Cook is. Yeah, at that point.
That would be cool, right? Clemson gives up 200-yard rushers all the time.
Mario Pinder in the Syracuse game getting hurt, and they go to Dalvin. Hey, why weren't we playing this guy all the time?
Yeah,
what the hell are you looking at, Jimbo?
We playing Carlos Williams and Mario Pinder instead of him.
Yeah. No, listen, Rodney, if he plays a lot, I think he'll play well. I'll say this, and we don't have much time left, but I think we're getting really close. It's my opinion. Could be wrong. I think they're getting really close to starting Julian Armella at right tackle.
Okay.
And I think I'm getting really close to doing so myself because Jazz isn't any good.
So I don't sign off on that. He's a Nole.
Go ahead. That's fine.
He's trying. He's trying his best.
Hell of an endorsement, Corey. So what I'm telling you is,
but can you judge him about?
I can judge him the last 3 weeks,
but it's hard to judge him against Clemson like that.
Well, I judged him last week and the week before.
Yeah, I know, I got you.
So what I'm saying is, Julian's got better feet. He's 6'6", 320. He's built different. I actually think that's one of those few guys early that you could play.
Yeah.
Now I wouldn't play him here. But I would play him against Georgia Tech.
Absolutely. I'd play him what's the redshirt rule?
You get 4 games.
So I would play him, you're right. I would play him 4 of the last 5 games. Absolutely.
I'd absolutely do it. I mean,
because Jazz is I think he's a senior, right? He's old. I know
he's somebody that shouldn't be starting for you is what he is.
Well, but what are you going to do, man? They got hurt.
I understand. He wasn't brought in to start. He was brought in to back up, and that stinks. It's not his fault. But he is still what he is, which is not very good. And I would make that move pretty soon.
Yeah.
Because, by the way, that's a matchup tomorrow night that I'm petrified of. Jazz against their guys again. That's an ass whipping waiting to happen.
You
Corey.
know, going in, they know that too.
I
so
know.
you've got to coach to that, right? You just got to coach like, hey, man, he can't do this. He can't block him.
Yes,
so
that's
you've
correct.
got to coach around it.
Right, but you hate having to be behind the 8 ball before you take a snap. I mean, it's the worst feeling in the world. Be like, well, okay, well, we can't do that because he can't block him.
Yeah.
But you do. You're right. You have to chip, you have to get the ball out of his hands quick, all that stuff. Any more time? We good? I think it is. It's time to wrap. Our thanks to everybody here at the Corner Pocket. Obviously, we appreciate it. We do this for all the home games. If you're coming into town, we are at the Corner Pocket for all Florida State home games, 5:30 to 6:30, hanging out, having some cold beer, watching the Braves get their head kicked in by the Phillies.
Man, what a disaster.
I know how much Corey
I still
enjoys
got
that.
the World Series from last year, though.
You do, and you'll have that for the rest of your life. No
I
matter
will,
what
man.
happens,
I got
it doesn't
2
go
in my
anywhere.
lifetime.
Yeah, there you go.
By the way, do you know what today is? The anniversary of?
Don't tell me it's Sid Bream Day.
30th anniversary.
Son of a bitch.
30th anniversary.
Thanks for throwing that out there.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. Is it your birthday or something? Is it?
No.
There's no other correlation with this date. There's not special
I
at
just
all.
knew I was in pain.
Yeah, no, and so it's crazy to think that was 30 years
I was
ago.
living off of Pensacola Street in this dirtbag apartment, and the guys next to me were 2 huge Braves fans.
Yeah.
And they knew I was a huge
Didn't
Pirates fan.
you threw a lamp down or something,
I threw a phone. I shattered
Oh,
a.
but
This is
not-
back in the day.
Not a cell phone.
No, the
clearly.
actual phone. It was a green phone. It was my roommate's phone, and he tried to say no as he saw me pick it up.
Yeah.
Because it was sitting on our little table, and I picked it up and shattered it. And he was like, no, because
Yeah.
it was his phone, and I was broke, and he knew I couldn't afford a new phone.
Right.
That was our only phone. I shattered it into a million pieces.
Man, it's crazy, and I know
I'm not proud of it. I'm just telling you it happened.
But I mean, when I think about all the sporting events I went to with my dad, RIP, that is probably number one. And I
should be for
hope
you.
that gives you a little comfort.
It does. It does.
that-
I've lived long enough and gained some perspective in life to understand that there's more important things than losing that baseball game.
Also,
it hurt.
and as a Braves fan, it was a lot more heartache than that. Like we had some exultation, but most of it was heartache in October. But that one memory with my dad
It's a great one.
and Mr. Veal, who was my journalism teacher at Meadow Creek High School, was in 2 rows behind me just randomly and came over and hugged me afterwards. And we were all hugging. People were jumping on the dugout.
great, yeah.
Like it's an all-time moment that I hope and I think by 2%, Florida State fans will get to experience tomorrow night. Like an all-time great moment when, I don't know how it's going to happen. Maybe Fitzmagic bombs a 54-yarder.
Yeah, maybe he does. maybe we're all running naked afterwards. Sure,
I will run.
we're rubbing butter.
We're rubbing butter on everyone if Fitzmagic
We're
hits a
all
50-yard
rubbing
field
butter.
goal.
If Fitzmagic hits a 54-yard game-winning field goal
We'll take a
against Clemson.
31-yarder, won't we?
I'll take a 7-yarder. There's no such thing. Anything
yeah.
that goes between the pipes, man.
But man, things happen, right?
Yeah,
Sports is
yeah.
awesome.
No, that's
you
why
have
you
a
do-
moment
yeah,
in
you
this
hold that
game.
up,
We
you
can
do.
analyze it all we want. You have a moment in this game. You can win this game, and you get to 5-2.
Are you going to give the speech?
I'll
Go
give a
give the
speech
speech.
at halftime.
Tell Florida State's players about you and your dad during the Sid Bream game.
Yeah, how
I'll
we
stay out of
thought it was all
Because you're going to
lost.
see me cry.
It was all lost.
Yeah.
We thought hope
it was
over.
lost. You deserve to lose.
And then all of a sudden,
We need to stop. I'm starting to get
David Berryhill
again.
draws a walk.
I'm
and then the
getting
next thing you know,
embittered
Jose
again.
Lean with the error.
Well,
But
it starts with the double from your boy.
Terry Pendleton.
Yeah,
and be reigning
I don't want to
MVP,
talk about this.
Terry
I don't
Pendleton.
want to talk about
But either way,
Why are we doing this?
Florida
is
State.
that ball gone? Another home run for the Phillies? Oh,
That's probably a
that's
replay.
probably a replay.
Who
I was
knows?
hoping it was another bomb.
But Florida State won. Florida State can win this game. It is not out of the realm of possibility that Florida State can win this game. I promise you, it happens all the time. I watch it.
Cheers,
and
brother.
they're bound to lose. You know that's the longest winning streak in the country?
Yeah,
Clemson.
I know. I said yes.
They're due to lose. And it's going to be, there's a
This guy's
chance it
like-
could be tomorrow night.
Rah rah.
I'm just saying.
The vodka and Mio is getting to his head.
I've given up at 6-0. This game's
for
over.
Corey Clark, I'm Jeff Cameron. Our thanks to Tom Lang and everybody here at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Go Noles, everybody. Don't forget tomorrow, Hotel Indigo, Tom Lang and myself, we will be there live. Pre-game show 5:30.
Ish.
4:30? What the hell am I
4:30.
talking about? 4:30. And then we got the watch along afterwards, followed by the post-game show 15 minutes after the conclusion of the game. Of course, Corey will have his piece afterwards. So will Ira. Of course, they have the wrap after the game as well down on the field. Hopefully, they're talking about a miracle win for Florida State.
Hopefully, we got butter just all over the
everybody's
place.
Lathered. Everybody's lathered on that bald head, baby. There we go.
Lather with butter.
All right. Go Noles. Be good, everybody.